Bryson DeChambeau has been called arrogant. He's been called a scientist. He's been called the villain of LIV Golf. But the one thing nobody expected was the truth he would finally reveal about the man who holds the future of professional golf in his hands, and the private meeting that changed everything. The 32-year-old crusher, the man who has won 2 U.S. Opens and turned down a return to the PGA Tour, is now fighting for his survival. And what he said after his private meeting with Brian Rolapp has left the golf world in shock. Behind closed doors, away from the cameras and the microphones, Bryson DeChambeau sat down with PGA Tour CEO Brian Rolapp. The meeting was private. The details were supposed to stay confidential. But now, the truth is finally coming out. DeChambeau's representatives made contact with PGA Tour officials during Masters Week in April 2026. The meeting wasn't just a casual conversation. It was a negotiation. It was about his future. And it was about whether the bridge between LIV Golf and the PGA Tour could ever be rebuilt. Absolutely, the biggest enemy of good is great. And sometimes we wait for the perfect deal, right? Well, nothing's ever perfect, DeChambeau said. So we got to get to a place where all the egos are dropped. And I think we can find a solution. But the meeting didn't lead to a deal. It led to something far more complicated, a power struggle that would define the future of professional golf. Brian Rolapp was appointed CEO of the PGA Tour in June 2025 after a 22-year tenure at the NFL. In January 2027, he will officially become the 5th commissioner in PGA Tour history. He has been described as the architect of the Tour's new competitive structure, a 2-tier model that will reshape how the best players in the world compete against each other. But DeChambeau knows Rolapp's reputation. He knows that Rolapp has been less than enthusiastic about welcoming back LIV players. In a recent interview, Rolapp said, "The reality is that all of their guys are under contract. Until they're not under contract, it's not really an issue we need to worry about. We're not spending a lot of time thinking about it. Honestly." The message was clear. DeChambeau was not welcome. At least, not yet. Rolapp also made it clear that the returning member program that allowed Brooks Koepka to come back was a one-time offer. "We were clear that when it comes to the returning member program, that was a particular program for that specific time that has gone away," Rolapp said. "We'll react when we have to react, depending on the circumstances." On April 30th, 2026, the golf world was rocked by a bombshell that changed everything. Saudi Arabia's public investment fund announced it would withdraw its financial backing from LIV Golf at the end of the season. After spending more than $5 billion on the soft power exercise, the kingdom was walking away. The statement was clinical. Yasser Al-Rumayyan, the PF governor who had championed the league, was no longer listed as the chairman. For the players who had left the PGA Tour for guaranteed money, the news was devastating. DeChambeau, Jon Rahm, and Cameron Smith had all declined the PGA Tour's returning member program earlier this year. Brooks Koepka had accepted the deal, paying a $5 million charitable donation and accepting severe restrictions. But the others said no. They chose to stay with LIV. Now, they were facing the consequences. DeChambeau's contract was up at the end of the season. He was reportedly seeking a $500 million deal to stay with LIV before the funding problems were revealed. Now, that deal was dead, and he was left with nowhere to go. When reports surfaced that DeChambeau's representatives had started talks with the PGA Tour, his response was swift and emphatic. "It's completely untrue," DeChambeau told Flushing at Golf. "I'm working as hard as I can to find a solution. I'm committed to making team golf work in the best way possible." The denial was convincing, but the truth was far more complicated. Days later, DeChambeau admitted to ESPN that his side had, in fact, talked to the PGA Tour. His representatives had reached out, while exploring his post-2026 options. The denial was a cover, and it had fooled everyone. DeChambeau's potential return to the PGA Tour isn't just about Rolapp. It's about the players. And that's where the real drama begins. I think there's a way to solve any problem, DeChambeau told Scratch. It's really about if the membership wants me back, and if they just want me back, that's what it's about. I don't even think it's Brian Rolapp or anybody like one of the top executives. It's really if the players want me back, and if not, then I understand that. The statement was a bombshell. DeChambeau was essentially admitting that his fate rests in the hands of his former rivals, the very players he had abandoned for LIV Golf. The acrimony is real. DeChambeau was one of the original plaintiffs in the August 2022 antitrust complaint against the PGA Tour. He was the last to remove himself from it. The lawsuit generated intense animosity among those who stayed and cost the tour vast sums of money before the litigation was dropped. DeChambeau acknowledged that the scars remain. The egos need to get dropped, he said. Everybody needs to come in with a level-headed playing field with an opportunistic mindset to grow the game of golf. While DeChambeau was fighting for his future off the course, he was making headlines on it. At the Open Championship at Royal Birkdale, he opened with rounds of 67 and 66. The second later changed to 68 due to a controversial two-stroke penalty. The penalty came after R&A officials determined that DeChambeau had unintentionally improved his lie in the tall grass at the fifth hole. He argued his case to no avail, threatening to withdraw from the event while hitting balls deep into the Southport night. DeChambeau threatened to call President Donald Trump to try to get the decision overturned, though the call never happened. His agent, Brett Falkoff, claimed DeChambeau was 100% serious about withdrawing. He's a lot of things. He's not a cheater, Falkoff told reporters. He's a big boy. He'll see how he feels. R&A Executive Director Grant Moyer defended the decision, emphasizing that the penalty applied even when the action was accidental. Now, for the first time, Bryson DeChambeau has revealed the truth about his private meeting with Brian Rolapp. And it's not what anyone expected. DeChambeau's message is clear. He doesn't trust the man who will soon be running the PGA Tour. Rolapp represents the old guard, the establishment, the system that DeChambeau has been fighting against since he joined LIV Golf. If a return were not possible, I'd focus on YouTube, DeChambeau said. And then I'd love to play tournaments that want me. The threat is real. DeChambeau knows that he has options. His YouTube channel has millions of subscribers, and his brand is stronger than ever. But here's the twist that nobody saw coming. DeChambeau is willing to accept a path back to the PGA Tour if the players want him. I think that there's a way to solve any problem, he said. The egos need to get dropped. The truth is this. Brian Rolapp holds the keys to the kingdom. And Bryson DeChambeau has made it clear that he's not going to beg. The questions now are impossible to ignore. Will the PGA Tour welcome back the LIV defectors? And at what cost? Will DeChambeau, one of the most talented players of his generation, be allowed to return to the PGA Tour, or will he be forever banished to a league that is slowly dying? Wayne Riley issued a stark warning. If you want to come back, you have to change. Bryson has always been so very nice to me. He's a nice man. Whether it's all just a show or his persona, I don't know. But if you want to come back and play, you have to change your ways just a little. And here's the question that will spark the comments. If Bryson DeChambeau wants to come back, should the PGA Tour let him, or has he burned too many bridges?